She quickly wrapped up what she was doing, packed her bag, and rushed out. Cafe Meridian, 6 p.m. James Rothman had reserved a quiet, secluded spot, far from prying eyes. He was already there. A distinguished man in his 50s, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes clouded with concern. He rose to his feet as she approached. "Miss Chen, thank you for meeting me." He gestured to a corner booth, private and away from windows. "I took the liberty of ensuring we wouldn't be overheard or photographed." "Why all the secrecy?" Olivia asked as she sat. James looked around cautiously before leaning forward. "Because what I'm about to tell you could be dangerous. Vanessa Laurent has powerful connections and a history of destroying people who threaten her carefully constructed life." What James reveals in the next 60 seconds will change everything. The evidence he shows Olivia is so damning, so shocking, that you'll understand why Vanessa is willing to destroy anyone who gets in her way. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now, because what's coming next is the most intense part of this entire story, and you do not want to miss a single second. Drop a fire in the comments if you're ready for the truth to explode. And if you have friends who watched part 1, tag them right now. They need to see what James is about to reveal. Let's continue. Olivia's mouth went dry. "What do you know?" "Everything," James said simply. "I was Ethan's assistant before the accident. I'm one of the few people who knows exactly what happened and what didn't happen in the months before he lost his memory." He pulled out a tablet, swiping through documents. Ethan and Vanessa grew up in the same social circles. Their families knew each other, but they were never close. In fact, Ethan actively avoided her at events. He thought she was superficial and manipulative. So they weren't childhood sweethearts? Barely acquaintances. Vanessa pursued him for years, but he never showed interest. He was too focused on his architecture work, and later on taking over Cross Industries after his mother's illness. He pulled up a photo. This is from January, 2 months before the accident. Ethan in a suit, deep in conversation with business associates. And in the background, barely visible, was Vanessa, staring at him with an intensity that bordered on obsessive. "She was stalking him," Olivia whispered. "I prefer to call it persistent attention," James said grimly. "But yes, she showed up at events she knew he'd attend. Coincidentally appeared at his favorite restaurants, sent gifts to his office that he never acknowledged." He swiped to another photo. And this is Vanessa in February, 1 month before the accident, with her actual boyfriend at the time. Marcus Donovan, the same man from Olivia's research. They'd been together for 8 months. Marcus is from old money, but nothing compared to the Cross fortune. And according to my sources, Vanessa found out she was pregnant in early March. Olivia's blood ran cold. With Marcus's baby? Correct. But Marcus apparently wasn't interested in marriage or fatherhood. He suggested she handle it quietly. Vanessa was furious. She'd assumed pregnancy would trap him into marriage. So she looked for another target? She looked for a better target. James's expression was grim. I believe Vanessa had been planning to make a move on Ethan for months, but the accident gave her the perfect opportunity. A man with no memory, vulnerable and confused, desperate to fill in the blanks of his missing time. He pulled up more documents. "I was there in the hospital when Vanessa first appeared. Ethan had been conscious for maybe 6 hours. He couldn't remember the previous 2 months. He was vulnerable. He couldn't fully process because he couldn't remember it." James's voice softened with sympathy. Vanessa walked into that hospital room with a fully constructed story. She had photos, legitimate ones from events they'd both attended, but photoshopped to look intimate. She even had a fake engagement ring she claimed he'd given her. And he believed her because he had no memory to contradict it. Exactly. I tried to tell him the truth, that I'd never seen them together, that he'd never mentioned their engagement. But Vanessa played it perfectly. She cried, accused me of being jealous, said I'd never liked her. And Ethan was so confused and vulnerable that he believed her version over mine. James's hands clenched on the table.
Then she announced the pregnancy, showed him a DNA test after Connor was born that proved he was the father, and I was powerless to stop it. I've been waiting 5 years for proof, for something concrete to expose her lies." "What changed?" Olivia asked. "You did," James said simply. "3 months ago when you started at Cross Industries, I saw the way Ethan looked at you, like he was remembering something he couldn't quite access, and I saw Vanessa's reaction. She's terrified, Miss Chen, because you're the first real threat to her carefully constructed lie." Olivia's mind was reeling. But why tell me this now? James leaned forward, his expression deadly serious. "Because I did some research on you, and I found something interesting. You took an extended leave from work 5 years ago, medical leave, starting in late March, right after the accident." Olivia's heart stopped.
"At first I thought it was coincidence," James continued. "But then I looked closer. You were promoted rapidly after returning from leave, bought a house, and according to my sources, you have a 4-year-old daughter named Maya who attends the same school as Connor." He pulled up one final image on his tablet, a photo from the school's website, a group shot of students, and there, in the front row, was Maya, with Ethan's unmistakable gray-blue eyes. "So here's my question, Miss Chen," James said quietly. "Does Ethan Cross have another child he doesn't know about? A child conceived during those missing months?" Olivia couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. James's expression softened. "It's okay. I'm not here to threaten you. I'm here to help. Because if Ethan has a daughter, he deserves to know. And if you and Ethan had a connection before the accident, Vanessa's lies are even more destructive than I thought." "We met the night before the accident at a hotel bar. We talked for hours, and then—" She couldn't finish. "And then he disappeared the next morning," James finished gently, "because he was in a car accident on his way to the airport." "I didn't know. I thought he'd just left. When I found out I was pregnant 6 weeks later, I tried to look him up." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "But before I could, I saw a blog post about his marriage and expecting a child with his wife. What was I supposed to do? Show up and claim he was the father of my baby when he'd clearly moved on?" "You did what any rational person would do. You protected yourself and your child." James handed her a tissue. "But now you know the truth. He didn't move on. He lost his memory and was manipulated into a false life." "He can't remember me at all," Olivia whispered. "That night meant everything to me, and for him it doesn't even exist." "But he feels it," James said. "I've watched him these past 3 months. He's different around you, more alive, more himself than he's been in 5 years. His subconscious remembers, even if his conscious mind doesn't." Olivia wiped her eyes. "What do I do?" "You tell him the truth, all of it, and you let me help you." He pulled out a file folder. "I've been collecting evidence against Vanessa for years, proof that she lied about their relationship, proof that the DNA test was conducted at a facility her family owns, a facility currently under investigation for falsifying paternity tests for wealthy clients, proof that Marcus Donovan is likely Connor's biological father." He slid the folder across the table. "But I need one more piece of the puzzle. I need Ethan to know he has another child, a child whose existence proves he had a life before the accident that Vanessa erased." "Why does my daughter matter to your case?" "Because it proves Vanessa's timeline is impossible. If Ethan was with you the night before the accident, he couldn't have been in a relationship with Vanessa. Her entire story falls apart. And more importantly," James's eyes were fierce now, "it gives Ethan something to fight for besides just escaping a bad marriage. It gives him a reason to remember, to fight for the truth." Olivia looked at the folder, her hands shaking. "If I do this, Vanessa will come after me, after Maya." "She will," agreed James, "which is why you need protection. I have security teams on standby, lawyers ready to file restraining orders, everything you need to keep you and Maya safe." This is insane. This is necessary. Vanessa Laurent has controlled Ethan's wife for 5 years through lies and manipulation. It's time someone exposed the truth. And it's time Ethan got to meet his daughter. Don't you think he deserves that? Olivia thought of Maya asking about her father, of Ethan's confusion when he looked at her, of 5 years of missed moments that could never be recovered. "Yes," she whispered, "he deserves to know." "Then we do this together, tomorrow, before Vanessa realizes we're on to her." Olivia took a shaky breath. "Okay, what's the plan?" James smiled grimly. "We're going to give Ethan Cross his life back."
They planned the confrontation carefully. James arranged for Ethan to clear his afternoon schedule, citing an urgent matter. Olivia prepared what she would say, rehearsing words that could never adequately explain 5 years of secrets. At 2 p.m., Olivia and James stood outside Ethan's private office. "Are you ready?" James asked. "No," Olivia admitted, "but we're doing this anyway." James knocked, then opened the door. Ethan was at his desk, reviewing documents. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face when he saw both of them. "James? Olivia? What's this about?" "We need to talk," James said, closing the door behind them, "about the accident, about Vanessa, and about the night before your accident, a night you can't remember, but that changed everything." Ethan's expression shifted to wariness. "What are you talking about?" "The truth," Olivia said, her voice steadier than she felt. "The truth you've been searching for 5 years." She moved to stand in front of his desk, James beside her in silent support. 5 years ago, on March 23rd, I buried my father. That night, I went to a hotel bar because I couldn't stand to be alone, and I met a man who was also grieving. His mother had recently died. We talked for hours about architecture and dreams and loss. Ethan's face had gone pale. His hand moved unconsciously to the scar on his temple. "We talked until the bar closed," Olivia continued, tears threatening now. "And then we went to his hotel room and kept talking. And then," she took a shaking breath, "we spent the night together. Not just physically, we connected, really connected. And in the morning, he promised we'd have breakfast together. He promised to see where things could go." "But I left," Ethan whispered. His eyes were locked on hers with terrible intensity. "The Singapore emergency? I left for the airport." "You did, and on the way you were in an accident that stole 2 months of your memory, including the night we spent together." Ethan stood up, knocking his chair back. "You're saying that night was with you?" "Yes, but I don't remember. I can't." He pressed both hands against his temples as if he could force the memories to surface. "I've had these dreams, these fragments, but I thought they were just my brain trying to fill in gaps." "They weren't," interjected James quietly. "They were real memories trying to break through." Ethan looked at James. "You knew about this?" "I knew something happened in those missing months that mattered. I just didn't know what until recently." James gestured to Olivia. "She's been working here for 3 months, and you've been different, more yourself, because some part of you recognized her, even if you couldn't consciously remember." Ethan turned back to Olivia, his expression a mixture of hope and anguish. "Why didn't you tell me? When you started working here, why didn't you say something?" "Because I thought you'd abandoned me," Olivia said, tears spilling over now. "I woke up that morning and you were gone. No note, no number, nothing. I waited for hours, and then I went home heartbroken. And 6 weeks later, when I found out I was pregnant..." Ethan stumbled backward. "Pregnant?" "I tried to look you up, but every article said you were married, that your wife was pregnant, that you were building a life with someone else." Olivia's voice broke. "What was I supposed to do, Ethan? Show up and destroy your marriage? Force myself into your life when you clearly didn't want me?" "I did want you," Ethan desperately said. "I just couldn't remember. God, Olivia, if I'd known..." "You have a daughter,"
Olivia interrupted. "Her name is Maya. She's 4 years old, about to turn 5, and she has your eyes, your passion for building things, your stubborn determination to solve problems." A sob escaped her. "She asks about you constantly, wonders if her daddy has eyes like hers, draws buildings she wants to show you someday." Ethan sank into his chair, his face in his hands. "I have a daughter." "You do, and I've kept her from you for 5 years because I believed a lie, because I didn't know about the accident or the memory loss or Vanessa's manipulation." James stepped forward, placing the folder on Ethan's desk. "Speaking of Vanessa, everything she told you about your relationship before the accident was a lie. You were never together. You barely knew each other. She was actually dating someone else and was pregnant with his child when she trapped you." Ethan looked up, his face ravaged. "Connor isn't mine?" "Not biologically. The DNA test was falsified at a facility her family owns." James opened the folder, showing the evidence. "Vanessa saw an opportunity when you were vulnerable and took it. She erased your real life, including Olivia, and replaced it with a fiction." For a long moment, Ethan just stared at the documents. Then he looked at Olivia, and the pain in his eyes nearly destroyed her. "Show me," he whispered. "Show me my daughter, please." Olivia pulled out her phone with trembling hands, pulled up photos of Maya, her first day of school, building elaborate block structures, laughing with pure joy. And Ethan wept. "She's beautiful," he choked out. "She looks exactly like my mother did as a child. The same eyes, the same expression when she's concentrating." "She's brilliant and kind and so full of life," Olivia said softly, "and she deserves to know her father." Ethan stood, crossed to Olivia in 2 strides, and pulled her into his arms. "I'm so sorry for everything you've been through alone, for all the years I missed, for not remembering the night that gave me the most precious gift." Olivia held him tightly, 5 years of pain and loneliness finally finding release. "It's not your fault. None of this is your fault." "When can I meet her?" Ethan pulled back to look at her. "Please, I need to meet my daughter." "Today. I can pick her up from school early. We can—" Ethan's office door suddenly burst open. Vanessa stood in the doorway, her face a mask of fury, and in her shaking hand was a gun. The truth is finally out, but Vanessa isn't going down without a fight, and she's willing to destroy everyone to protect her secrets. What happens next will leave you breathless. Keep reading. This story is about to get very dangerous. Did you catch all the clues leading to this moment? Comment below what you think happens next, and share this story with someone who loves intense emotional drama. They won't want to miss out.
Time seemed to freeze. Vanessa stood in the doorway, her designer dress immaculate, her makeup perfect, but her eyes were wild, unhinged. The small silver pistol in her hand trembled, but her grip was firm. "Don't," she said, her voice eerily calm. "Don't anyone move." James immediately stepped in front of Olivia. Ethan moved to shield them both, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "Vanessa, put the gun down," Ethan said, his voice steady despite the terror in his eyes. "Whatever you think is happening—" "I know exactly what's happening," Vanessa's voice cracked. "You're trying to destroy me, all of you. After everything I've done, after 5 years of standing by your side, you're going to throw me away for her?" She jabbed the gun toward Olivia. "You didn't stand by me," Ethan said carefully, still keeping himself between Vanessa and the others. "You lied to me. You manipulated me when I was vulnerable. You stole 5 years of my life." "I saved your life," Vanessa screamed. "When you woke up from that accident, you were broken, lost. You didn't even know who you were. I gave you a purpose, a family, a life worth living." "You gave me a prison built on lies,"
Ethan countered. "And you know what the worst part is? I could have forgiven the lies about our relationship. I could have even forgiven the fake pregnancy. But you kept me from my real daughter. You let me miss 5 years with Maya because you were too selfish to tell the truth." Vanessa's face contorted with rage. "That child is nothing. I gave you Connor, a son, an heir. What does that woman's daughter matter?" "She matters because she's mine." Ethan's voice dropped to something dangerous. "She matters because I spent the night before my accident with a woman I connected with more deeply than I've ever connected with you. She matters because even when I couldn't remember, some part of me was searching for them." "You're choosing her over me?" Vanessa's hand shook harder, the gun wavering. "After I gave up everything for you? I could have stayed with Marcus. I could have had a normal life, but I chose you." "You chose my money," Ethan said coldly. "You never chose me. You don't even know me." James spoke up carefully. "Vanessa, we have security outside that door. The moment you fired that gun, your life as you know it would be over. But if you put it down now, walk away, we can handle this civilly. Divorce, custody arrangements for Connor, a fair settlement." "Fair?" Vanessa laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You think I'm going to walk away with nothing while she gets everything? The man, the money, the happy little family?" She steadied the gun, aiming directly at Olivia's chest. "No, if I can't have this life, nobody can." Everything happened at once. Ethan lunged toward Vanessa. The gun went off, the sound deafening in the enclosed office. Olivia screamed, but Ethan had reached Vanessa in time, knocking her arm upward. The bullet embedded itself in the ceiling, raining plaster down on them. James tackled Vanessa from the side, wresting the gun from her grip as she screamed and fought like a wild animal. Security burst through the door seconds later, restraining her. "Let me go! Let me go!" Vanessa shrieked as they pulled her toward the door. "You'll regret this, Ethan, all of you. I'll destroy you. I'll take everything."
"Take her to the police," James said to security. "Attempted murder, multiple counts of fraud, falsifying legal documents. I have a file ready to hand over." As they dragged Vanessa from the office, she locked eyes with Olivia one last time. "He'll forget you too," she hissed, "just like he forgot before. You're nothing special." Then she was gone, her screams echoing down the hallway until they faded to nothing. Olivia collapsed into a chair, shaking violently. Ethan was immediately beside her, pulling her into his arms. "It's over," he murmured into her hair. "It's over. You're safe." "She tried to take my life," Olivia whispered. "She was willing to end me to keep her lies intact. But she didn't succeed, and now she'll face justice for everything she's done." Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face went white. "It's Maya's school. They're calling me. Why would they—" He looked at Olivia in panic. She grabbed her own phone. 7 missed calls from the school. Her heart stopped. With trembling fingers, she called back. "This is Olivia Chen?" "Miss Chen, thank God, we've been trying to reach you. There was an incident. A woman tried to take Maya from the playground, claiming to be authorized pickup. Our security stopped her, but Maya is very shaken." Olivia's world tilted. "Is she hurt?" "No, physically she's fine, but she's asking for you. Can you come immediately?" "I'm on my way." Olivia ended the call, already moving toward the door. "Someone tried to take Maya from school." Ethan was right behind her. "I'm coming with you." "Ethan, you can't just—" "He's my daughter." His voice left no room for argument. "Someone just tried to kidnap her. I'm not sitting in an office while she's scared and alone. I'm coming." James stepped forward. "I'll handle the police here and meet you at the school. Go, both of you." The drive to Westbridge Academy was the longest 15 minutes of Olivia's life. Ethan drove with focused intensity, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Tell me about her," he said quietly. "I need to know who I'm about to meet." So Olivia talked, about Maya's obsession with building sustainable houses, about her favorite color, purple, about how she slept with Dr. Trunkington, the elephant with a PhD in hugging, about how she asked about her father constantly but never made Olivia feel guilty about his absence. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Even when I thought you'd abandoned us, I never regretted having her. She made everything worth it. Ethan's voice was rough with emotion. How do I say to her? How do I explain where I've been? We tell her the truth, that you were hurt and forgot about us, but now you remember and you want to be her dad. Maya's smart. She'll understand. They pulled up to the school. Maya was in the principal's office, sitting in a chair that was too big for her, clutching Dr. Trunkington to her chest. Her eyes were red from crying. The moment she saw Olivia, she launched herself from the chair. "Mommy!" Olivia caught her, holding her tight. "I'm here, baby. I'm here. You're safe. A lady tried to take me. She said you sent her, but she was lying. She was mean." "I know, sweetheart. I know. But you're safe now." The principal stepped forward. "We have the woman in custody. Security detained her until police arrived. She's claiming to be Maya's aunt, but—" "She's not," Olivia said firmly. "We have no family authorized to pick up Maya except me and my friend Sarah."
"We thought as much. The police are questioning her now." Maya pulled back from Olivia's shoulder, her gray-blue eyes, Ethan's eyes, still glistening with tears. And then she saw Ethan standing in the doorway. "You," she whispered, "you're Connor's dad. You have eyes like me." Ethan crouched down to her level, careful not to crowd her. "I do have eyes like you. That's because—" He looked at Olivia, who nodded encouragingly. "Because I'm your dad, Maya. Your real dad." Maya's eyes went wide. She looked between Ethan and Olivia, processing. "But Mommy said you were far away, that you couldn't be here." "I was lost," Ethan said gently. "I got hurt a long time ago and forgot some really important things, including your mommy and you. But now I remember. Well, I'm starting to remember, and I want to be here, if you'll let me." Maya studied him with the serious intensity only a 4-year-old could muster. "Do you build things? Mommy says my daddy was really good at building things." "I do build things. Buildings, actually. Just like you." "I build sustainable housing," Maya said proudly, some of her fear fading, "with gardens and solar panels." Ethan's smile was brilliant. "That's exactly what I build, too." Maya looked at Olivia again, seeking permission. Olivia nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Okay," Maya said to Ethan, "you can be my dad, but you have to promise not to forget again." "I promise," Ethan said, his voice breaking. "I will never, ever forget again." Maya stepped forward and hugged him. Ethan's arms came around his daughter for the first time, and he closed his eyes against the overwhelming emotion. "Welcome back, Daddy," Maya whispered, and Ethan wept openly, holding the child he'd never known he was missing. 5 years of lost time concentrated into one perfect moment. James arrived 20 minutes later with grim news. The woman who tried to take Maya was hired by Vanessa. She paid her $10,000 to grab Maya from school and bring her to a location outside the city. Olivia's blood ran cold. She was going to kidnap my daughter? "Our daughter," Ethan corrected, his arm protective around Maya, who was now sitting on his lap, showing him drawings from her backpack. "And Vanessa's going to pay for every crime she committed." "There's more," James said. "While investigating Vanessa's activities, the police discovered communications with Marcus Donovan, Connor's biological father. He's been trying to gain custody of Connor for 2 years, but Vanessa's been blocking him with the falsified paternity test showing Ethan as the father." Ethan's expression darkened. "Where is Connor now?" "Still at school. I have security watching him." James pulled out his tablet. "Marcus Donovan isn't a bad man, Ethan. He's actually quite successful. Tech entrepreneur, philanthropist. He wanted to be part of Connor's life, but Vanessa told him to stay away, threatened to ruin him if he interfered. I need to talk to him immediately. Connor deserves to know his real father, and Marcus deserves to know his son. Already arranged, he's willing to meet with you this evening to discuss custody arrangements that prioritize Connor's well-being. Maya tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Daddy, is Connor my brother? Ethan looked at her, this brilliant child who was already thinking about family connections. Not by blood, sweetheart, but he can be your brother in all the ways that matter if you want. I want, Maya decidedly said. Connor's nice. He stood up for me when Tyler was mean. Then he's your brother, Ethan confirmed, kissing the top of her head. Olivia watched them together, her heart so full it hurt. 5 years of fear and struggle, and now this, her daughter finally meeting her father, natural and right, like pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. James cleared his throat. I hate to interrupt, but we need to discuss security arrangements. Vanessa's arrest is going to make headlines. The media will swarm. You all need protection. What are you suggesting? Olivia asked. Move into Ethan's house, temporarily at least. It has state-of-the-art security, gates, guards. Maya will be safe there. Olivia started to protest. It was too fast, too much. But Ethan spoke first. Please, he said quietly. I just found you both. Let me keep you safe. You don't have to, we don't have to be anything beyond co-parents right now. But let me protect my daughter. Let me protect both of you. Olivia looked at Maya, who was watching them with her 2 perceptive eyes. Okay, Olivia said, but we're going to take this slow, for Maya's sake. As slow as you need, Ethan promised. What neither of them admitted was slow felt like a lie. After 5 years apart, after finding each other again, slow felt impossible. But for Maya, they would try.
The media storm was immediate and vicious. Billionaire CEO's wife arrested for attempted murder. Vanessa Cross charged with kidnapping plot, fraud, falsifying DNA tests. Secret love child revealed. Ethan Cross's daughter hidden for 5 years. The tabloids tried to paint Olivia as a homewrecker or gold digger, but James's carefully crafted press release told the true story. A woman who'd had a brief connection with Ethan before his accident, who'd raised their daughter alone, believing he'd moved on, who'd only recently discovered the truth about his memory loss and Vanessa's deception. Public opinion shifted quickly, especially when photos emerged of Ethan and Maya together, the resemblance undeniable, the genuine love between them obvious even to strangers. Moving into Ethan's house was surreal. The estate was massive, 10 bedrooms, a pool, sprawling gardens. Maya was overwhelmed with delight. "We could fit 10 of our old house in here," she exclaimed, running through rooms. Connor was there when they arrived, initially shy and confused, but when Ethan sat both children down and explained in age-appropriate terms that Connor's biological father wanted to meet him and that Maya was Ethan's daughter too, Connor surprised everyone. "So we're both yours?" he asked Ethan. "Even if I'm not, really yours?" "You're really mine, Connor. Biology doesn't make a family, Connor. Love does. And I love you. That's never going to change." "And Maya's my sister?" "If you want her to be." Connor looked at Maya, who was watching him hopefully. "Yeah," he said, "I want her to be my sister." The kids adapted faster than the adults. Within days, Maya and Connor were inseparable, building elaborate structures from blocks, creating art projects, plotting to invent solutions to climate change with the seriousness only children could muster. Marcus Donovan met with Ethan a week after Vanessa's arrest. The meeting was tense at first, 2 men who'd both been manipulated by the same woman, both caring for the same child. "I don't want to take him from you. Connor knows you as his father. That matters. But I'd like to be part of his life, if you'll allow it." They worked out an arrangement. Connor would continue living primarily with Ethan, but would spend weekends with Marcus, slowly building a relationship with his biological father while maintaining the one he had with Ethan.
"This is weird," Connor said when they explained it to him, "having two dads." "Is it bad weird or good weird?" Ethan asked. Connor considered. "Good weird, I think, like having extra people who love me." "Exactly," Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. "You can never have too many people loving you, buddy."
As the children adjusted, Ethan and Olivia navigated their own complicated relationship. They were co-parenting beautifully. Ethan was a natural father, patient, engaged, genuinely interested in Maya's elaborate explanations of sustainable architecture principles. He attended her parent-teacher conferences, tucked her into bed with stories, taught her to make his famous chocolate chip pancakes. But the tension between them, the unfinished business of that night 5 years ago, lingered in every accidental touch, every shared glance, every moment alone. One evening, 2 weeks after moving in, Olivia found Ethan on the terrace outside the master bedroom suite. He was staring at the stars, lost in thought. "Can't sleep?" she asked. He turned, surprised. "Same question for you?" "Maya had a nightmare about the woman who tried to take her. I stayed with her until she fell back asleep." Ethan's expression darkened. "Vanessa's trial is in 3 months. Maya might have to testify about the kidnapping attempt." "I know. We'll prepare her. She's stronger than she looks." "She gets that from you." They stood in comfortable silence, the night air warm around them. "Ethan," Olivia said finally, "can I ask you something? Anything. Do you resent me for keeping Maya from you for 5 years?" He looked at her, surprised. "No, never. You did what you thought was right based on the information you had. I'm the one who should be asking for forgiveness, for not remembering, for not finding you somehow. You couldn't remember. That's not your fault. But I should have felt it, should have known something was missing, should have—" He stopped, frustrated. "I had these dreams, Olivia, for 5 years, fragments of a woman with dark hair, a feeling of connection, but I convinced myself they were just my brain trying to fill in gaps. If I'd trusted those feelings, maybe I would have found you sooner. Or maybe this is exactly when we were supposed to find each other again," Olivia said softly. "Maybe we both needed these 5 years to become the people we needed to be." Ethan moved closer. "And who are you now?"
A mother, a survivor, someone who learned she's strong enough to do impossible things. She met his eyes. "Who are you?" "Someone who's learning that the life I thought I built was a lie, and that the life I'm scared to hope for might actually be real." His hand came up to her face, the same gentle touch from 5 years ago. "Olivia, I know we agreed to go slow, for Maya's sake, but I need you to know what I'm feeling isn't just about our daughter. It's not gratitude or obligation or convenience." "What is it?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "It's the same thing I felt 5 years ago in that hotel room. Connection, recognition, like finding something I didn't know I was searching for." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "I don't remember that night, but I feel it. Every time I look at you, I feel it. Ethan, I'm falling for you. Maybe I already fell 5 years ago and I'm just remembering how. But either way, it's happening, and I need you to know that before we go any further." Olivia's heart was racing. "I'm scared. What if we try this and it doesn't work? What if we hurt Maya? What if we don't try and we miss the chance at something extraordinary?" Ethan countered. "Olivia, I've spent 5 years in a marriage that was hollow from the start. I know what it feels like to be with someone I don't love. This," he gestured between them, "this is the opposite of that. This is terrifying and complicated and messy, but it's real." Olivia thought about the years she'd spent alone, protecting her heart, about the moment she'd seen him at the school and felt that pull despite everything, about watching him with Maya and seeing the father she'd always hoped her daughter would have.
"I'm falling too," she admitted. "I've been falling since that first night, and then I fell again when I saw you with Maya, when I watched you choose to be her father without hesitation." Tears spilled over. "I'm so scared of getting hurt again." "Then we'll be scared together." Ethan pulled her closer. "And we'll take it one day at a time, one moment at a time. We don't have to have all the answers right now." "Just slow," Olivia said. "Just slow," he agreed. And then they kissed her. It was different from 5 years ago, less desperate, more certain. A promise instead of a question. They kissed like people who'd found their way home after a long journey, like two pieces of a whole finally reconnecting. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. "I have an idea." "What?" "Let's do it right this time. Let me take you on a proper date. Dinner, conversation, the whole thing, like we should have done 5 years ago." Olivia laughed through her tears. "You want to date me while I'm living in your house raising our daughter?" "I want to court you properly. I want to prove that this isn't just convenience or co-parenting. I want to show you, and Maya, that I'm serious about building a real relationship." "Okay," Olivia whispered. "Okay, let's try." They kissed again, softer this time, full of promise and possibility. Neither of them noticed Maya watching from the doorway. Dr. Trunkington clutched to her chest, a smile on her face. Ethan and Olivia are finally finding their way to each other. But Vanessa's trial is coming, and she's not finished destroying lives. And what about Connor's adjustment to having 2 fathers? The most emotional chapters are still ahead. Don't miss part 6, where everything comes together in ways you won't expect. Are you Team Ethan and Olivia? Comment below and share this story. Your friends need to experience this emotional roller coaster too.
3 months later, the courthouse was surrounded by media vans and protesters. Vanessa Laurent Cross's trial had become a national spectacle, a cautionary tale about obsession, deception, and the lengths some people would go to secure wealth and status. Olivia sat in the front row of the courtroom, Ethan beside her, their hands clasped tightly together. Behind them sat James, Sarah, and a row of security personnel. Maya was at home with a trusted nanny, and Connor, too young to be exposed to the circus the trial had become. Vanessa was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her once immaculate appearance now haggard. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Her hair, usually styled to perfection, hung limply around her face. But when she looked at Olivia and Ethan, her eyes blazed with undiminished hatred. The charges were extensive: attempted murder, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, fraud, falsifying legal documents, perjury, and obstruction of justice. The prosecution had built an airtight case. "The state calls James Rothman to the stand," the prosecutor announced. James took the stand with calm authority. He testified about Vanessa's behavior before the accident, her obsessive attendance at events where Ethan would be, her fabricated social media presence suggesting a relationship that didn't exist. "Mr. Cross actively avoided Miss Laurent at social functions," James stated clearly. "I was his assistant for 3 years before the accident. In that entire time, I never once heard him mention her name except in passing as 'that woman who won't leave me alone.'" Vanessa's lawyer objected repeatedly, but James had documentation, emails, calendar entries, eyewitness accounts, proving Ethan and Vanessa had no relationship before the accident. Next came the medical experts who testified about Ethan's traumatic brain injury and the likelihood that his memory loss made him vulnerable to suggestion and manipulation. Patients with retrograde amnesia often accept constructed narratives to fill in missing time, Dr. Patricia Simmons explained. If Miss Laurent presented Mr. Cross with fabricated evidence of a relationship during his vulnerable state, his brain would have accepted it as truth in the absence of contradictory memories. Then came the devastating testimony from Dr. Michael Chen, the DNA specialist who'd examined Connor's original paternity test. The test was fraudulent, he stated flatly. It was conducted at Laurent Biomedical Labs, a facility owned by the defendant's family. When we conducted an independent test, the results clearly showed that Mr. Cross is not Connor's biological father. Marcus Donovan is. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Vanessa's face remained impassive, but her hands clenched into fists. Marcus Donovan took the stand next, his testimony quiet but damning. Vanessa told me she was pregnant in early March, 5 years ago. When I suggested we weren't ready for marriage or children, she became furious. She said I'd regret not stepping up. 2 weeks later, I heard about Ethan Cross's accident. 3 weeks after that, Vanessa called me and said she'd found someone better and that I needed to stay away from her and the baby or she'd destroy my reputation. Did you comply with her demands? The prosecutor asked. I did. I was young and scared, and she had powerful connections, but I never stopped thinking about my son. When I finally hired a lawyer 2 years ago to pursue custody, Vanessa threatened to go public with lies about me, claimed I was dangerous, unstable. I couldn't risk it affecting Connor. Until now? Until Mr. Cross contacted him himself, and we discovered we'd both been victims of the same deception. The prosecution built their case methodically over 2 weeks. They brought forward the woman Vanessa had hired to kidnap Maya, who testified that Vanessa paid her $10,000 and promised more if she successfully retrieved the girl and kept her somewhere safe until the situation with Ethan was resolved. What did you understand resolved to mean? The prosecutor asked. That Miss Cross would find a way to get rid of the child's mother, maybe permanently.
They presented phone records showing Vanessa's communication with the kidnapper, financial records showing the payment, text messages where Vanessa detailed her growing desperation as Ethan grew closer to Olivia. He looks at her the way he's never looked at me. I can't lose him. I won't lose everything I've worked for. If that woman and her daughter disappeared, he'd have nothing left but me and Connor. Do whatever you have to do, just make the problem go away. Reading those messages aloud, understanding how close Vanessa had come to harming Maya, Olivia felt physically ill. Ethan's arm came around her shoulders, steadying her. On the 10th day of trial, Olivia was called to testify. She walked to the stand on shaking legs, raised her right hand, and swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor was gentle with her. Miss Chen, can you tell the court about your encounter with Ethan Cross 5 years ago? So Olivia did. She told them about her father's funeral, about the hotel bar, about the man who'd understood her grief. She kept the intimate details private, but she painted a picture of genuine connection, 2 people finding solace in each other during the darkest time of their lives. Did Mr. Cross indicate that he was in a relationship with anyone else? The prosecutor asked. No, we talked for hours. He mentioned his mother's recent death and the pressure of taking over the family business, but he never mentioned a girlfriend or fiancée. I would never have... Her voice broke. I would never have been with him if I'd known he was committed to someone else. What happened the next morning? I woke up and he was gone. No note, no phone number, nothing. I waited for hours, then went home heartbroken. When I discovered I was pregnant 6 weeks later, I tried to research him, but every article said he was married and expecting a child with his wife. Did you attempt to contact Mr. Cross about your pregnancy? No, I assumed he'd moved on, that our night together had meant nothing to him. I didn't want to be the woman who destroyed a marriage or force myself into his life when he clearly didn't want me there.
So you raised Maya alone? Yes. For 5 years, I was her only parent. I worked full-time, bought a house, built a life for us. I never asked Mr. Cross for anything because I didn't think he wanted to be part of our lives. When did you learn about Mr. Cross's accident and memory loss? 3 months ago, when I started working at Cross Industries. Vanessa confronted me in the office, and during her rant, she mentioned the accident and that Ethan couldn't remember things. That's when I started researching and discovered the truth, that he hadn't abandoned me at all. He'd been hurt and lost his memory of our time together. The prosecutor nodded. And when you learned this, what did you do? I told him the truth about our night together, about Maya, about everything.
How did Mr. Cross react? Olivia looked at Ethan in the gallery. He was devastated that he'd missed 5 years of his daughter's life, but he never once blamed me for not telling him sooner. He understood I'd made the best choice I could with the information I had. Vanessa's defense attorney stood for cross-examination, a shark in an expensive suit. Miss Chen, isn't it true that you're living in Mr. Cross's home currently? Yes, for security reasons, after Vanessa's arrest and the kidnapping attempt. And isn't it convenient that just as Mr. Cross's marriage was falling apart, you appeared with a child claiming to be his? Olivia's jaw tightened. DNA tests prove Maya is Ethan's daughter. This isn't a claim, it's a fact. But you could have come forward at any time in the past 5 years. Why wait until now? I didn't know about the accident or the memory loss. I thought Ethan had chosen a life with Vanessa. I wasn't going to force myself into a marriage or demand money from a man who clearly didn't want me. Or perhaps you waited until the perfect moment when his marriage was already troubled to maximize your financial gain. Objection! The prosecutor stood. Counsel is badgering the witness with baseless speculation. Sustained, the judge said. Move on, counselor. The defense attorney changed tactics. Miss Chen, you're an architect working on a major project for Cross Industries, correct? Yes. A project worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Yes. Isn't it possible that your relationship with Mr. Cross, your convenient daughter, all of this is designed to secure your position and financial future? Olivia's eyes blazed. I loved him 5 years ago when I had no idea who he was. I raised his daughter alone without asking for a penny. I worked my way up in my career through talent and dedication, not connections. And I would walk away from Cross Industries tomorrow if it meant protecting my daughter from people like your client who tried to have her kidnapped. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged her gavel. The defense attorney sat down, clearly realizing he'd made things worse. On day 15, Vanessa took the stand in her own defense against her lawyer's advice. She was polished again, having somehow obtained proper clothes and makeup. She played the wronged woman beautifully. I loved Ethan, she said, her voice trembling with apparent emotion. We'd known each other since childhood. When I heard about his accident, I rushed to the hospital. I stayed by his side through his recovery, helped him remember who he was, built a life with him. Can you explain the discrepancies in the timeline? Her attorney asked. Mr. Rothman testified that you and Mr. Cross were not in a relationship before the accident. James was jealous, Vanessa said smoothly. He'd always been possessive of Ethan, wanted to control who he spent time with. Ethan and I kept our relationship quiet because we knew people would talk. The billionaire CEO and the socialite. It's such a cliché, but what we had was real.
What about Marcus Donovan? A friend, nothing more. Yes, we spent time together, but it was platonic. When I discovered I was pregnant with Ethan's child,
Except Connor isn't Ethan's child, the prosecutor interrupted, standing. DNA tests prove... Tests can be wrong, Vanessa's composure cracked slightly, or they can be manipulated by people who want to destroy me. Ethan is Connor's father in every way that matters. Miss Laurent, did you or did you not hire someone to kidnap Maya Chen? The prosecutor asked. I did no such thing. That woman is lying to get a reduced sentence. We have phone records, financial transactions, text messages in your own words. Fabricated by people trying to destroy me. Ms. Laurent, did you bring a gun to Ethan Cross's office 3 months ago? Vanessa's eyes darted around the courtroom. I was emotional, distraught. I'd just discovered my husband was having an affair. Mr. Cross was not having an affair. He'd never touched you, had he? Never consummated your marriage because he didn't love you and never had. That's not... We had... Vanessa's face flushed red. You manipulated a man suffering from traumatic brain injury. You fabricated a relationship, faked a pregnancy, or passed off another man's child as his, and trapped him in a marriage built on lies. And when the truth started coming out, you attempted murder and conspiracy to kidnap to maintain your deception. No! Vanessa stood, her voice rising to a scream. I loved him. I gave him everything. I could have had anyone, but I chose him, and he threw it all away for some nobody and her little mistake. The courtroom went silent. That little mistake is a 4-year-old child, the prosecutor said coldly. A child you attempted to have kidnapped. A child who has nightmares about the woman you hired. Vanessa seemed to realize her error. She sank back into her chair, her lawyer's head in his hands. No further questions, the prosecutor said. The closing arguments were powerful on both sides. Vanessa's lawyer painted her as a woman scorned, a victim of a man's wandering heart. He suggested that Ethan had manipulated events to escape his marriage to be with his mistress. But the prosecution had evidence, mountains of it. They painted a clear picture of obsession, deception, and escalating violence. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, Vanessa stood straight and proud, but Olivia could see her hands shaking. On the count of attempted murder, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of conspiracy to commit kidnapping? Guilty. On the count of fraud, guilty. Guilty on all counts. Vanessa's face crumbled. She looked at Ethan one last time, and he met her gaze evenly, without pity or anger, just finality. The judge set sentencing for 2 weeks later, but remanded Vanessa to custody immediately. As they led her away, Vanessa looked at Olivia. You didn't win, she hissed. You'll never have what I had. He'll never love you the way... He already does, and it's real. That's the difference. Vanessa was still screaming as they dragged her from the courtroom.
Outside, the media swarmed, but Ethan's security team cleared a path. In the safety of the car, Olivia finally let herself exhale. It's over, she whispered. It's over, Ethan confirmed, pulling her close. She can't hurt us anymore. What happens now? Now we live our lives. We raise our daughter. We build the future we were supposed to have 5 years ago. Olivia looked at him. Over the past 3 months, they'd been dating properly. Dinners out, long conversations, stolen kisses when Maya was asleep. Rebuilding what had been interrupted, creating something new and stronger. Ethan, there's something I need to tell you, she said. He turned to face her fully. What is it? I love you. Not the memory of who you were 5 years ago. Not the father you've become to Maya, though I love that too. But you, the man you are now,
the man who fought for the truth, who chose his daughter without hesitation, who's building a relationship with Marcus so Connor can know his real father, the man who makes me laugh and challenges my designs and remembers that I hate overhead fluorescent lighting. Ethan's eyes were shining. I love you too. I think I fell in love with you twice, once 5 years ago, and again these past few months. And I want... He stopped, seeming to make a decision. Hold that thought. He leaned forward to the driver. Take us to Riverside Park, the overlook. Olivia looked at him quizzically, but he just smiled mysteriously. Riverside Park's overlook provided a stunning view of the city at sunset. Ethan led Olivia to a bench facing the vista, the same view they'd designed into the Cross Industries sustainable campus, bringing nature and urban development together. This spot, Ethan said, is where I used to come before the accident. When the pressure of running the company got too intense, I'd come here and remember why I loved architecture, why I wanted to build things that served people. I didn't know that. I only remembered it a few weeks ago. The memories are coming back, slowly, in pieces. Still no memory of our actual night together, but everything around it is getting clearer. He took her hands. I remembered something else, too. What? The morning of the accident, before the emergency call came in, I was lying in bed watching you sleep, and I thought, I could love this woman. I could build a life with her. Olivia's breath caught. I didn't know if it was a real memory or just wishful thinking, but now, after these months together, I know it was real, because I'm thinking the same thing now, and it feels identical. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Olivia's eyes went wide. Ethan, I know this is fast. I know we're still rebuilding. But Olivia, we've wasted 5 years already. I don't want to waste another day not being completely honest about what I want. He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring, a deep blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds. This isn't a diamond because you told me once, that first night, that diamonds were overrated. You said if someone ever proposed to you, you'd want a sapphire because it was strong and unique and beautiful. You remember that? Tears streamed down her face. The memory came back 2 days ago, just a fragment, but it was so clear. You talking about architecture and engagement rings and saying both should be built to last, not just to impress. He slid off the bench, kneeling in front of her. Olivia Chen, you are the strongest, most brilliant, most incredible woman I've ever known. You raised our daughter alone and turned her into this amazing little human. You built a career through talent and determination. You forgave me for something I couldn't control and gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. You make me want to be better, build better, dream bigger. And I love you, more than I thought it was possible to love someone. His voice trembled with emotion. I know I don't remember our first night together. I know I can't give you back the 5 years we lost, but I can promise you every day forward. I can promise to be the partner you deserve, the father Maya needs, and the man who will spend the rest of his life proving that what we have is worth fighting for. He took a breath. Will you marry me? Olivia was crying too hard to speak. She nodded frantically, and Ethan's face broke into the most brilliant smile she'd ever seen. He slid the ring onto her finger, then stood and pulled her into his arms, kissing her deeply. Yes, she finally managed against his lips. Yes, yes, yes. They held each other as the sun set over the city they both loved to design, where they lost and found each other, where they were building a future together. Should we tell Maya? Let's tell her together, tonight, as a family. Family. The words sounded perfect.
They picked up Maya and Connor from Ethan's house, where the nanny reported they'd spent the entire day building the most sustainable city ever created from Lego bricks. "Mom, Dad," Maya ran to them, "we put solar panels on every building." "And water recycling systems," Connor added. "That's amazing," Ethan said, exchanging a glance with Olivia. "Guys, we need to talk to you about something important." The children's faces grew serious as they sat down in the living room, Dr. Trunkington and Connor's stuffed lion between them. "Is it about the bad lady?" Maya asked. "Is she in jail forever?" "She's going to be away for a very long time," Olivia confirmed. "But this is about something happy." Ethan took Olivia's hand, and Maya's eyes immediately went to the ring glinting on her finger. "Is that a ring?" Maya gasped. "Are you getting married?" "How would you feel about that?" Ethan asked gently. "About your mom and me getting married?" Maya looked at Connor. Some silent communication passed between them. Then Maya turned back with a huge smile. "I think it's good. Then we'll be a real family, right? With you and Mom and me and Connor?" "Exactly that," Ethan confirmed. "And Marcus," Connor added thoughtfully. "He's part of our family too now." "And Marcus," Ethan agreed. Over the past months, Connor had been building a relationship with his biological father. It was slow and sometimes awkward, but Marcus was patient and Connor was resilient. They were finding their way. "Can I be in the wedding?" Maya asked. "Can I wear a fancy dress?" "You can be the flower girl if you want," Olivia said. "Can I be the ring bearer?" Connor asked. "Absolutely," Ethan said, ruffling his hair. Maya threw herself at Olivia, hugging her tight. "I'm so happy, Mommy. We finally got our happy ending." "Yes, baby," Olivia whispered into her daughter's hair. "We finally did." But as Ethan pulled all of them into a family hug, his daughter, his soon-to-be wife, the boy he'd raised as his own, he knew this wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning. 2 weeks later, they returned to court for Vanessa's sentencing. Olivia had the opportunity to give a victim impact statement. She stood before the court, Ethan beside her, and spoke clearly. "Vanessa Laurent tried to destroy my family. She attempted to have my 4-year-old daughter kidnapped. She pointed a gun at me. She stole 5 years of my daughter's relationship with her father through lies and manipulation." Olivia's voice was steady. "But the truth is that she failed, because the truth is stronger than lies. Love is stronger than obsession, and family, real family, built on honesty and choice, is stronger than anything she could do to tear us apart." She looked at Vanessa, who sat with her head down. "I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger would only hurt me and my family. You took enough from us. You don't get to take our peace, too." Ethan spoke next. "For 5 years, I lived a lie you constructed. You manipulated my vulnerability, stole my agency, and kept me from the real family I should have had. But I'm grateful, because if you hadn't been caught, I might never have met my daughter. I might never have found my way back to Olivia. Your worst intentions led to my greatest blessings." The judge listened to all the statements, reviewed the evidence, and delivered her sentence. 25 years in prison for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and fraud. No possibility of parole for at least 15 years. Vanessa's face remained blank as they led her away, but just before she disappeared through the doors, she looked back at Ethan one final time. He didn't look away, didn't flinch, just watched until she was gone. "It's really over," Ethan said quietly. "It's really over," Olivia confirmed.
The wedding took place on a perfect autumn day in Riverside Park, overlooking the city where their story had begun and nearly ended. It was small, just family and close friends. Sarah was Olivia's maid of honor. James stood as Ethan's best man. Maya and Connor walked down the aisle together, Maya scattering rose petals with serious concentration, while Connor carried the rings with equal gravity. Marcus Donovan sat in the second row, watching his son with quiet pride.
He and Ethan had developed an unexpected friendship, two men united by having survived Vanessa's deceptions, committed to co-parenting Connor with Grace. Olivia walked down the aisle alone, strong, independent, choosing this marriage not from need but from love. When Ethan saw her, tears spilled down his face. She was wearing a simple ivory dress, her dark hair loose around her shoulders, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers Maya had helped select. She was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. They'd written their own vows. Ethan went first. "Olivia, I don't remember the night we met. I can't give you back the 5 years we lost, but I can promise you every day forward. I promise to be your partner in building not just sustainable cities, but a sustainable life together. I promise to love our daughter with everything I have. I promise to never forget again. Not the important things, not the little things, not you." His voice broke. "You saw me when I couldn't see myself. You gave me the greatest gift in Maya. You forgave when I couldn't control and loved me anyway. And I will spend the rest of my life being worthy of that love." Olivia's turn. "Ethan, 5 years ago I was lost in grief, and you found me. You reminded me that I was more than my sadness, more than my obligations. For one night, you made me feel seen and chosen and whole." Tears streamed down her face. "When I thought you'd forgotten me, I survived. I raised our daughter and built a career and proved I was strong enough alone. But Ethan, I'm so much happier together." She took his hands. "You didn't abandon me. You didn't betray me. You were hurt and you survived and you found your way back. And now we get to build everything we dreamed about. Homes that shelter, communities that thrive, a family that's rooted in truth and love. I choose you, Ethan Cross, today and every day after." When they kissed, Maya and Connor cheered the loudest. The reception was held in the gardens of their home, the house Ethan and Olivia had redesigned together, blending his modern aesthetic with her sustainable principles. It was a masterpiece of form and function, a home that would grow with their family. During the first dance, Ethan pulled Olivia close. "Happy?" he murmured. "Impossibly," she whispered back. "I got you something, a wedding gift." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Olivia opened it carefully. It was an old, yellowed note, the edges torn. "Olivia, had to run to Singapore, work crisis I can't avoid. I meant everything I said last night. This isn't over, not even close. I want that breakfast, that chance, everything we talked about. I'll be back in 3 days maximum. Please leave your number with the front desk or call me at 555-0147. Don't disappear on me. What we have is too important." "Where did you find this?" Olivia breathed. "The hotel was being renovated last month. They found it behind a nightstand in what used to be my suite. The manager remembered the accident, tracked me down, thought I'd want it." Ethan's eyes were wet. "Proof that I meant it, that I was coming back, that what we had mattered." Olivia's pressed the note to her chest, tears flowing freely. "You were coming back." "I was always coming back. It just took 5 years longer than planned." They danced as the sun set, surrounded by the people who loved them, in the home they'd built together, with their children laughing nearby.
5 years later, Olivia woke to chaos, the best kind of chaos. Maya, now almost 10, was arguing with Connor about whether solar panels or wind turbines were more efficient for their latest school project. In the next room, 3-year-old twins Elena and Lucas were singing off-key to a cartoon soundtrack. Ethan's arm tightened around her waist. "It's Saturday. Saturday is for sleeping." "Tell that to your children," Olivia laughed. "Our children. You don't get to claim them just on weekdays." The bedroom door burst open. Elena and Lucas tumbled in, followed by a more sedate Maya and Connor.
"Mommy, Daddy, it's Pancake Day," the twins chorused. "Every Saturday is Pancake Day," Ethan groaned, but he was smiling as he sat up. "Can we help?" Maya asked. At almost 10, she was the spitting image of Ethan. Same eyes, same determined expression, same passion for sustainable design. She'd recently won a national competition for young architects with her proposal for floating gardens to combat urban heat islands. Connor, now 9 and splitting time between Ethan's house and Marcus's apartment, had discovered a love for computer programming. He was creating apps to help people track their carbon footprints. And the twins, surprise babies born 3 years into the marriage, were pure chaos and joy in equal measure. "Everyone can help," Olivia declared, "but real help, not the kind that ends with flour on the ceiling." "That was 1 time," Maya protested. "It was 3 times," Connor corrected. They trooped to the kitchen as a family. Ethan measured ingredients while Olivia supervised. Maya explained her latest sustainable housing concept to Connor, who was already sketching out code to support it. The twins stole chocolate chips and giggled when caught. This was their life now, loud, messy, full of love. The Cross Industries Sustainable Campus had revolutionized corporate architecture. Olivia and Ethan's firm, Cross Chen Design, was now internationally renowned, with projects on 4 continents. Maya saw Marcus regularly and called him Uncle Marcus. He'd married a lovely woman named Jennifer, and they'd recently had a daughter of their own. The extended family gathered for holidays and birthdays, a beautiful, complicated network of love. Vanessa was serving her sentence. Ethan had taken Connor to visit her once 2 years ago because Connor wanted closure. She'd apologized, not to Ethan, but to Connor, for using him as a pawn. It was the most honest she'd ever been. Connor left feeling sad but settled, and he'd never asked to visit again. After breakfast, after the chaos settled into the comfortable rhythm of a Saturday morning, Ethan found Olivia on the back porch, watching the children play in the garden. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "How different life could have been if you hadn't written that note, if I hadn't found the courage to tell you the truth, if Vanessa had succeeded. But none of that happened. We found each other. We built this." He turned her to face him. "No regrets?" "Not a single one." She kissed him softly. "Though I do sometimes wonder if you could get those memories back, our first night together, would you want them?" Ethan considered. "I used to think I would, desperately. But now?" He looked at their children, at the life they'd built. "I have all the memories that matter. Our first date, real first date where you argued with me about load-bearing walls for an hour. Our first kiss as an engaged couple. Maya calling me daddy for the first time. Our wedding, the twins being born. Every morning I wake up next to you." He cupped her face gently. "That first night gave me Maya, and for that I'm eternally grateful. But this," he gestured to their life around them, "this is what I'll remember when I'm old. Not one night from a decade ago, but thousands of mornings after." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "I love you. I love you too, for all the mornings we've had and all the ones still to come." They stood together, watching their children play, the city skyline in the distance, that same skyline they'd both loved to design, where their story had fractured and reformed into something even stronger. Morning had finally come, and it was more beautiful than either of them had ever dreamed.
If this story touched your heart, made you believe in second chances, or reminded you that even the darkest nights end in morning, don't keep it to yourself. The truth is simple. Love survives. Families heal. Morning always comes. No matter how long the night, no matter how lost you feel, dawn is closer than you think. Subscribe so you never miss stories that remind you hope is real. Comment and tell us, what moment made you cry? What would you have done differently?
What part of this story spoke to your soul? Share this with someone who needs to believe their story isn't over, someone waiting for their morning, someone who's given up hope that love can survive the impossible. Your morning is coming. Keep believing. Heart.